got new skates. These are the Rollerblade New Jack Teams, the 2018 edition. They're pretty good looking, dude. If you skated in the 90s, you probably knew the TRS, the Access, and the what were the other ones? I can't remember, but they were the first UFS rollerblade skate. The way that these are constructed, there's an inner shell made of the plastic, and then the outside is a skin. So there's a shell on the inside, which is all the plastic and support, and then the outside, this is all squishy, so it's like a shoe. The sole plate then screws onto the boot, the plastic boot, and then the frame screws through all the way in through the boot using the UFS bolts. What's crazy about these skates is they're only $200. So you've got really polished leather or some sort of material top, a really nice, comfy liner. You've got the 45-degree strap that I love. Got a really nice looking frame. It comes anti-rocker, which is fine. Yeah, man, I'm real excited to try these out. So I've never seen a pair of Rollerblade brand skates in the wild. It's never been at any of the sessions I've been to. Most skate shops don't sell them. And I'm really curious why. These are pretty great skates. Maybe because they're the man, they're the big company and they're the fitness company and they're owned by, I don't know, but a big brand. They're not core. But tell you what, for $200, this is a pretty great entry-level skate. Let's see how they skate though. So these are a size 10.5. Typically I ride a size 10.5 in my Volos. They were size 10 in the Aeons. And I think a size 10.5 in the Seba as well. They feel fine. Yeah, they feel fine. My feet, so one of the nice things about Rollerblade is that they have their sizing chart listing not just sizes, but also in millimeters. So you can go and measure your foot and then see, how many millimeters you are. These are 285, so 28.5 centimeters. I think my foot is like 28.2 on the left and like 28.6 on the right, so probably perfect. But they feel good. I'm getting a bit of a forward lean compared to the Volo and the Seba. These are a raised heel skate. So what that means is instead of the boot being completely flat and then the flat UFS frame mounting directly to the boot, the heel is actually raised a little bit, and they compensate by having a taller sole plate. So the sole is actually, like a high heel, I thought that they were flat boot for some reason, but when taking apart the frames, I noticed that the rear UFS bolt is actually longer. So the front is like 16 millimeter. The back is maybe 22 millimeter. So definitely there's more of a forward lean than I'm used to. It makes it feel a little slower. Like I'm kind of stubbing my toes into the transitions a little bit. I'm sure I can get used to it. There's also a fairly thick footbed in the liner, which means that, if I got a different footbed, probably drop it down a little bit and be more flat, but I do like the shock absorption here. So one of the negatives to having a raised foot boot is that you can't have that internal shock absorber without having more of a forward lean. That's why the Shift is so good, the Seba, the Aeon, I mean, any of those flat boot skates, I think that's my preference. But these are okay. They feel solid, that's for sure. They feel like, you know, there's no wiggle. I think that 45-degree strap is huge. I've tightened them up, and they just feel like, you know, they're connected to my feet. So that's a really good feeling. Let's try some grinds. I mean, sole grinds feel great. This stuff slides great. Just wax the ledge, so take that with a grain of salt. But lock on good. Feels like the sole is so big, it's really hard to miss. One interesting thing is on like a zero spin porn, because this is a raised heel, like my weight was too far forward, and I was slipping out, which I don't normally do. You know, my zero porn is usually pretty solid, but because I was leaning more forward, I was slipping out, you know, slipping my toes out. The positive to that is my zero sole, zero alley-up sole, whatever you guys want to call it, zero spin alley-up sole, which is what I call it, was great. Like, you know, I'm leaning forward more, and I have my balance, instead of all on my back foot, my sole foot, it's now separated between my back foot and my front foot, you know, my front side foot, or whatever you want to call it. And I was locking those on solid. They felt great. All right, come some Royales. This ledge is really hard to come up on the right side for my backside Royale. It's just too tight of a turn. I want to get more speed, like I get at Marsh, but oh well. Had a hard time getting down on backside Royales. I think the frames are fine. I think the boot, the Royale groove, comes in really tight. The opposite would be like the Seba or the Shift, where that sole plate comes out further. So while this has a fairly big sole, the groove is so deep that you have to get more boot down and lower in order to get on that groove in the sole plate for Royales. It takes a little getting used to. Also, something interesting, the Royale lines up diagonally instead of straight. So like on a Seba or a 7 or what else? Aeon, the groove in the boot is straight with the groove in the frame. So when you roll over, you just kind of roll yourself over like a perpendicular angle. With these, the frame is in the middle, the groove is in the middle, but the Royale angle is back a little bit. What that means is when you jump on, you don't jump on like this, you jump on like this. And it's a little different. You know, I didn't mind it for frontside Royales, because then you can kind of sit on it and get your whole front foot to lean on it, which is great. But backside, I found myself slipping off a little bit. Again, it's not the best place to judge a backside Royale. This turn is too tight for me to get some good speed, and the ledge is pretty short, so you have to jump on pretty quick, and I can't really get set. But anyway, first impressions. All right, let's do some topsides. Well, you know, as I always say, they slide. I'm really bad at topside, so this is a bad test. I did feel as though I was able to get on, maybe because the frame is low and the sole is big. You know, as soon as I reminded myself to fall off, which is my biggest problem, I was able to jump on, slide. The run-up sucks, I know, and I need to get more speed, I know. It's really hard here. But I feel like I was locking on. I could probably stay on it longer. Nothing really interesting about these frames. They slide. I don't have any crazy feelings, but again, I'm probably the wrong person to ask about topsides. I will say that I didn't have any problem bending over to get my boot on. You know, I was a little worried that these boots would be stiff and hard to bend over. It's fine. I've got no issues. So I don't think you would have a problem either. All right, these are fun skates. The Royale's a little deeper than I'm used to. Just means that you need to trust your sole plate a little bit more. When you get deep, know that it's not going to slip out, although it is going to slip out, so just be prepared for that. I'm not a fan of the forward lean. I think what I'll do is try to switch out those footbeds and see if I can get something a little flatter. I got to measure them and see, but I mean, if I can drop, I don't know, 10 mil, 8 mil, I feel like I'll enjoy these a little bit more, but right now I still feel like I'm leaning forward a little too much. The frames feel great, even just doing front sides, back sides, they feel great, and I am riding the standard anti-rocker wheels, the not really wheels that don't have bearings and don't spin and don't do anything. They're just big, hard pieces of plastic, and they feel fine. The groove is a little wide, and I think that's fine if you're skating anti-rocker. I'm not sure how it's going to work if you're skating flat. I don't know that I'll test it this time. Maybe I will. I've got some of those Conjure wheels. Maybe I'll put those on and see how they feel flat next trip. But the groove is wide, and it's super forgiving for Royale tricks. But I'm a little curious, I'll say, how they're going to be for riding flat 58s. However, $200. I mean, these skates are incredible for $200. I don't think you could. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I don't think you could find a better pair of skates for $200. They're great. A little taking used to, maybe not my cup of tea, but man, if you're trying to get in and you want a new pair of skates, it's really hard to beat this. Anyway, full review should be up in a couple of months, month and a half, I don't know. Depends on how long it takes for me to get through it. I want to try these with different frame setups, different wheels. I'm going to try the flats next. flat wheels, flat 58s, and then switch out some frames and just see how that changes things. But so far, so good. I'm pretty happy with them. See you guys next week.